name is Mary Lou Gregg and I'm the co-founder of Gleason Publications and DealMakers. In the 25 years that DealMakers has been tracking the transactions and advisors of the South African M&A industry, we have seen notable progress in the advancement of women in the workplace, particularly in the last 10 years. This has been driven by a combination of legislative measures, corporate initiatives and advocacy efforts. But it has also much to do with the great strides that women have made in showing up for themselves, knowing their worth and claiming their seat at the table. Each woman featured has a unique and inspiring story to tell, but there is a common thread. Work hard, believe in yourself and accept support and advice offered. It is the hope that by documenting these conversations, they will offer inspiration to young women, give them the courage where needed and the realization that they are not alone, that there are others who have walked a similar path. These women serve as positive and powerful role models that inspire young women and defy outdated stereotypes of women's capabilities. What is clear is that the growing matrix of experience of the women in this industry is a powerful force, one that is succeeding in uplifting those women with less experience as they themselves rise and shatter the proverbial glass ceiling. In the words of American author B.K. Sweeting, using your fire to ignite someone else's will not dim your light. It will illuminate the room and you will shine together.
So outside of my day-to-day job, I love fashion, obviously. And I'm also very passionate about the women agenda. In the space that I'm in global markets, I lead Elevate networking events, which we host monthly, and we'll have speakers come in to share their stories, their journey, to sort of help inspire colleagues and to make us more intentional just about how we navigate the floor and how we build up our careers and becoming more intentional about it.
I started my career on a global markets graduate program at one of the top 4 banks. I was the only graduate who didn't have a degree in finance. I have a chemical engineering degree, and I remember working extremely hard to earn myself one of the limited spots on the trading desk.
I would say to any young lady looking to join corporate finance or is interested in the financial services sector, seek mentorship early. Know that the different phases of your career will seek different views. Don't be scared to actually put your hand up.
My message to any young lady starting her career out in corporate, or actually in any work environment for that matter, is that don't ever say no to a project because you think you don't know enough. You're never going to know everything, and that's actually a good thing because it means that you're going to keep on learning and growing. Take on every challenge with curiosity and interact with the people around you. There's so many people in the organization, and it's amazing how people are willing to help you and give their time to you.
Being able to not limit yourself to the confines of a job description and being able to put up your hand for new initiatives, new projects, new challenges that might be outside of your skill set is really going to differentiate you to stand out from the crowd as someone that is hungry, looking for new challenge and really wanting to grow their career. So I'd encourage everybody, don't think in terms of the traditional job description and the traditional ways of work. Think differently and you will stand out from the crowd.
I think my advice to a young lady joining my team or joining the investment banking or financing space would be to be curious about your work. I find that you have people who join the team and they're generally not as interested as I'd like them to be about the day-to-day workings. And that usually counts against someone's progression, because if you're not curious, you're not able to really make the best decisions because you're not well informed. So be curious, it helps with your career progression, it helps you be able to manage and engage with clients much better, and it somewhat keeps you on your toes.
The first thing I'd like to say to any young woman who's looking to enter the corporate finance world would be that this environment is tough, but you are tougher. Having said that, I have 2 key pieces of advice for you. Firstly, continuously learn, unlearn and relearn.
If you aren't learning, you aren't growing, so grab every opportunity to learn and pour your heart into it. And secondly is actually a quote by Michelle Obama, who said, "One of the lessons that I grew up with was to always remain true to yourself and never let anybody else distract you from your goals. Having said that, always be authentic and remain true to yourself."
Something personal about myself is I've got a newfound hobby of climbing mountains. Last year I did Mount Kilimanjaro, which was the most exciting, just lifetime achievement in my life. And actually in a couple of weeks I'm going to do Mount Kenya, which I'm quite excited about. And I just feel in life you just need to have work-life balance, work hard, play hard, and you need to find whatever grounds you.
I'd like to touch on this concept of work-life balance that most people out there seem to be striving for. My advice on this is let go of it. It doesn't exist. What you actually need to be doing is building balance into your entire life and weaving that balance through what you do at work and what you do outside of work. I can tell you a bit about what I do. So I find my balance in my love for food and wine, maybe an obsession for wine, and for travel. I also do yoga and Pilates quite regularly in order to keep my mind refreshed. And if the mind is strong, the body is strong, and if the mind and the body is strong, then you can actually do anything that you put your mind to.
What Business Rescue does is it places a moratorium on any legal proceedings that creditors may bring against a company in business rescue. In other words, it provides necessary breathing space for a company to pursue options available to turn it around and turn it into a going concern. Alternatively, allow options available to recover greater value for creditors than they would have received in liquidation.
If you were to look at who owns data generated by AI, that's not an easy question to answer. Courts around the world are still trying to grapple with who owns that data. But tied to that inherently is how are you going to attach value to the data associated with the value of a business when you're considering a deal? And I'm going to postulate that there isn't going to be an organization that you're going to engage on a deal with in the near future that doesn't have some kind of impact in terms of AI and how that comes to the fore, how you determine the value, how you determine the consideration, and what the risks associated with those deals are going to be in the future.
And for me, it was about taking the opportunity and seeing whether everything I've learned I could apply independently, stepping out of the shadows of the people who I've worked with who are great teachers, and to see as a female in this field whether it's something that I could achieve. I was a mum. I was a very recent mum then, and I then grabbed the opportunity and never looked back.
When we look at the impact that the formation of the Government of National Unity has had on the private equity space in South Africa, it's widely recognised that the political uncertainty pre-election was actually already priced in before the election results were announced. And while certainty is preferable for any investors, it's particularly significant in the private equity space where your shareholders are in generally for the medium to long term.
Following the formation of the Government of National Unity, South Africa should now be poised for better economic growth and be firmly back on the investment radar of local and international investors. This, coupled with an imminent decrease in interest rates and infrastructure improvements such as improved Transnet throughput, port efficiencies, and improved electricity generation, should result in a sustained shift in sentiment in South Africa.
The underweight position in South Africa is currently being questioned. There is a universe, however, where should GDP rise to around the 2% level, and should the GNU initiatives materialize, we are of the view that we will start to see the valuation gaps between South African listed companies and our global emerging market competitors starting to narrow.
I think if the GNU is seen to be delivering on key milestones and tackling low-hanging fruit, and if the electricity grid does remain stable, I think you will see corporates start gaining confidence in the system. They'll start investing a lot more in South Africa and expanding their operations. And then this obviously creates opportunities within the financing space. But a lot of companies are taking a wait and see approach. And I think it will be very clear in just a few months what the GNU has been able to deliver.
So the Government of National Unity has really created a positive impact on SA Inc. We've seen some foreign flows back into bonds on the JSE. Obviously there's still a global uncertainty because there's some, the US elections are still coming. But if we can build on this momentum, we can have some of those structural reforms in place, increase our economic growth, lower some interest rates. We can create this positive momentum that could help companies grow and ultimately, enable them to list on the JSE, or if they're already listed, to access the capital markets.
In terms of mentorship, I think sometimes there's a lack of role models for women, and I hope that I can be a role model to those around me. But there's also been some women in my working life that have made a difference, that have reached out to me and told me this is what they see in me, and those sort of things definitely make a difference. So I would suggest to any woman out there, whether you're a junior or a senior, let's build each other up, because we can all make a difference.